Good afternoon, I'm Mai Rodriguez. Today on Newsfeed at noon, rising death toll in Texas due to catastrophic floods. Dozens are still missing. Alias Totoy, the whistleblower in the missing sabungeros case, is now under protective custody of the PNP. The Philippine Navy confirms Japan's possible transfer of used Navy destroyers to the country. An iconic rock band, My Chemical Romance, is finally coming back to the Philippines. We begin in Texas, where the death toll from catastrophic floods continues to rise. At least 78 people have been confirmed dead, including 28 children. Over 850 have been rescued. The tragedy began Friday when torrential rain caused the Guadalupe River to break its banks. Dozens are still missing, including 11 who were at a summer camp for girls. The situation remains precarious as officials warn of more heavy rains.
There are dangers over the next 24 to 48 hours that could pose public safety threats to people in these regions. There is heavy rainfall that's already occurred, and there's more heavy rainfall that's expected that will lead to potential flash flooding broadly in these regions. The Big Country, Concho Valley, Central Texas, and once again, Kerrville. The point is this: if you're in any of those regions, you need to realize, for one, you're in an area with land that's already saturated with water. But for another, when more water comes down, it could lead to rapid flash flooding events.
U.S. President Donald Trump plans to visit Texas on Friday to get a first-hand look at the disaster. Trump describes the situation as a 100-year catastrophe. He also bats away questions about whether his cuts to the National Weather Service and other federal agencies affected the government's response to the flooding.
You look at that what a situation that all is, and that was really the Biden setup. That was not our setup, but I wouldn't blame Biden for it either. I would just say this is a 100-year catastrophe, and it's just so horrible to watch. This was the thing that happened in seconds. Nobody expected it. Nobody saw it. Very talented people are there, and they didn't see it. It's, I guess they said, once in 100 years. They've never seen anything like this. So I wouldn't.
No Filipino casualties in the Texas flooding. The Philippine Consulate General in Houston, however, advises the public to monitor local weather reports, emergency advisories, and immediately contact local authorities for help. Consulate adds their assistance lines are open for those affected. Texas is home to approximately 220,000 Filipino Americans. Over to Taiwan, which was battered by Typhoon Danas, known here in the Philippines as Bing, which brought heavy rains across most parts of northern Luzon over the weekend. The storm made landfall near Buday town late Sunday, packing winds of up to 144 kilometers per hour. Nearly 3,000 were evacuated as the typhoon triggered flooding in nearly 50 areas and at least 10 landslides. At least 28 people were injured. Before pounding Taiwan, Typhoon Bing brought heavy rains and flooding to parts of the Philippines. As Francis Falve tells us, thousands of families were affected, with hundreds seeking shelter in evacuation centers.
Standby funds of 3 billion pesos from the DSWD are now ready for calamities this year. According to DSWD spokesperson Irene Dumlao, they have also pre-possession relief stockpiles worth 3 million pesos in their warehouse, LGUs and private organizations nationwide. So this can be quickly distributed as a response to those affected by calamities. Based on data from the Office of the Civil Defense on weekend, more than 3,700 families or 13,006 individuals have been affected by Typhoon Bing in the Ilocos Region, Cordillera Administrative Region, and Cagayan Valley. A landslide also occurred in Barangay Birac, Itogon, Benguet, affecting more than 10 families. Around 739 families or 2,374 individuals were reported evacuated due to flooding in 7 barangays surrounding the Tumaga River in Zamboanga City. According to Mayor Kaimer Olaso, 7 evacuation centers have been activated, with more than 2,000 people still staying in shelters. They remain on alert for the expected effects of the typhoon and the southwest monsoon or habagat. Lester J. Raira posted on social media videos and photos of some nipa cottages up a resort in Liuliwa, San Felipe, Zambales, damaged by strong winds and rains. Several areas in Bataan and Baguio City also experienced flooding last Saturday due to continuous rains. The Philippine Coast Guard remains on heightened alert to ensure safety at sea and security. The Philippine National Police is also ready to assist the public this rainy season. The PNP procured additional emergency equipments to be able to respond quickly to any type of emergency. The Armed Forces of the Philippines is also targeting rapid response during this rainy season. Francis Polbe, Billionario News Channel.
With Bising now out of the country, officials are assessing the scale of damage it left in various areas. Paulo Barcelon joins us on the line for the latest. Paulo, what can you tell us?
Mai, good afternoon. Typhoon Bising with international name Danas has been spotted 605 kilometers north of Itbayat, Batanes, or outside the Philippine area of responsibility. In Pagasa's final bulletin for Typhoon Bising, we are still expecting severe winds and strong to gale force gusts over the next 3 days, particularly in the Ilocos region, Cagayan, Isabela, Aurora, Zambales, Bataan, Quezon Province, Masbate, Romblon, Occidental Mindoro, and Palawan. Meanwhile, the Office of Civil Defense says close to 100,000 people had been affected where the typhoon in its stay in the country, with 10 roads in the Ilocos region, Cagayan Valley, and Cordilleras affected but are now passable. Meanwhile, heavy rains enhanced by Bising caused a landslide in Itogon, Benguet, affecting 73 families or close to 200 persons. Local disaster officials have provided aid to the affected families and conducted preemptive evacuation. Meanwhile, it will still be a rainy day for Ilocania today as a heavy rainfall outlook is issued for both Ilocos Norte and Ilocos Sur with estimates of 50 to 100 millimeters of rain. Localized flooding and possible landslides may occur in the said provinces, and local governments are advised to monitor low-lying areas. Back to you, Mai.
Thank you, Paulo Barcelon reporting. The Philippine Navy confirms Japan's possible transfer of used Navy destroyers to the country. The Navy says it will inspect the Abukuma-class destroyers along with the Japanese Ministry of Defense. According to Japanese media, 6 warships equipped with anti-ship missiles and torpedoes will be exported to Manila. Defense Chief Gilberto Chodoro and his Japanese counterpart reportedly agreed to the export when they met in Singapore last month. This comes as both Tokyo and Manila face challenges from Beijing's aggressive actions in the South China Sea. The whistleblower in the missing sabungeros case is now under PNP protective custody as investigators dig deeper into claims of police involvement and a possible cover-up. Francis Folve returns with the details.
Julie Dondon Patidongan, the whistleblower in the case of the missing cockfighting enthusiasts, is now under the protective custody of the Philippine National Police. According to PNP Chief Police General Nicolas Torre III, Alias Totoy is currently under their care while he applies for inclusion in the Department of Justice's Witness Protection Program. Torre said they are ready to turn over Patidongan to the DOJ if needed.
Considering that this is now already under preliminary investigation under the DOJ at talaga si SOJ on top of this.
He added that the PNP and the National Police Commission are continuing their investigation into the alleged involvement of police officers in the case.
Yan ay subject ngayon ng investigation. Yan ay subject ng investigation, both administrative and criminal investigation. So hindi ko naman pwedeng pangunahan siguro pagpapasensya niyo, hindi ko mapangunahan kung ano magresulta ng investigation na to. In the interest of fair play, bigyan natin sila ng pagkakataon din na sagutin yung mga reklamo laban sa kanila. Pero isa sigurado rito, hindi namin sila bibigyan ng luwag, hindi namin sila bibigyan ng puwang na paglaruan ng ating hustisya.
15 policemen from various units who are said to be involved in the case are now under the PNP's restrictive custody. Among them is a police official holding the rank of Lieutenant Colonel. The PNP is also identifying other locations where the cockfighting enthusiasts may have been taken. They are verifying additional information indicating that aside from Taal Lake, there are other places where the remains were disposed of. They received tips that some of the victims were burned, while others were buried. Torres says they are doing everything to answer the questions surrounding the missing sabungeros, to hold the masterminds behind the crime accountable, and to finally bring justice that the victims' grieving families have long been demanding. Francis Polbe, Bellionario News Channel.
For millions of workers, a decent wage remains out of reach. And with President Bongbong Marcos set to deliver his SONA, they're calling for action, not promises. This special report from George Cahiles.
Alvin Cerda, a daily wage earner from Quezon City, buys just 2 kilos of rice. At 45 pesos per kilo, it's just enough to feed his family for the day.
Yung quality na binibili ko, yun pa rin, pero madadagdagan pa. Kasi 2 kilos ng 2 kilos lang ako eh. Kasi sa ngayon, wala akong trabaho ngayon, mga next week pa, sa July pa. Kaya mas maganda, kung matutuloy yun na sinasabi na aumento na tataas nga, mas maganda yun.
Workers had pinned their hopes on a legislated wage hike. It's 200 peso daily wage hike in the House version and 100 pesos in the Senate version. But the proposal didn't make it to the president's desk. A bicameral conference was not convened before the 19th Congress adjourned. The business sector had also expressed opposition. Even President Marcos appeared unconvinced. In his last SONA, he pointed to wage increases already issued by regional wage boards.
With tripartite consensus, minimum wage levels have been increased in various sectors in all regions, including the BARM, for workers and private establishments. Makakapagdulot ito ng ginhawa sa mahigit 4 na milyong mga kababayan na natin at ng kanilang mga pamilya.
But for Labor Leader Luque Espiritu of Bukluran ng Manggagawang Pilipino, President Marcos has shown little concern for workers' struggles.
Hindi niya inangat ang buhay ng masang Pilipino. And ito na sana ang opportunity ni Bongbong Marcos to show na meron naman siyang binibigay na relief sa krisis na nararamdaman ng masang Pilipino. And he failed the challenge.
In the Philippines, if only one family member earns minimum wage and supports a family of 5, that family is still considered poor, based on the government's own poverty threshold. For example, in the NCR, where the daily minimum wage is 695 pesos, a worker earns around 15,290 pesos per month. That's 423 pesos lower than the region's poverty threshold. But the gap is even more pronounced in the regions, like in Bicol, where the difference between the monthly minimum wage and the poverty threshold reaches nearly 5,000 pesos. Think tank Ibon Foundation says the living wage gap remains wide, a national daily shortfall of 742 pesos as of May 2025. Even with a slight improvement, half of Filipinos still consider themselves poor, according to the survey of SWS.
Dito sa Pilipinas, hindi. Maging manggagawa ka lang, bagsak ka sa below the poverty line. So, hindi matatapos ang demand for livable wages. Always demand namin na dapat i-certify niya as urgent ang wage bill. Tapos pagkatapos niya i-certify as urgent ang wage bill, pirmahan niya.
Muli pag-aaralan ito kung kakayanin ba talaga. Kasi kung magdudulot naman ito ng layoff dahil hindi kakayanin ng karamihang maliliit na mga negosyante, mas marami pong mahihirapang mga manggagawa dahil baka mawalan sila ng trabaho. Kaya po lahat ng ito ay pag-aaralan para sa ikabubuti po ng lahat.
With the opening of the 20th Congress, some lawmakers have promised to refile the wage hike bill. But will Congress leaders act on it immediately? Will President Marcos change his position before leaving office? Or will higher wages remain just a dream as millions of workers continue to struggle with hunger and hardship? George Cahiles, Billionaire News Channel.
Davao City holds a fun run to show support for detained former President Rodrigo Duterte. More than 5,000 runners joined the event, with races ranging from 1 to 21 kilometers. Supporters called for the release of FPRRD, who hails from Davao and served as the city's mayor for more than 2 decades. Duterte is detained at the International Criminal Court in The Hague for alleged crimes against humanity over his bloody war on drugs.
This is just not a run for nothing. This is a run for a unity and love in Davao City.
We're taking a break. Up ahead, U.S. President Donald Trump slams billionaire Elon Musk's move to start a new political party. That and more when Newsfeed at Noon returns. U.S. President Donald Trump scoffs at billionaire Elon Musk's move to start a new political party. Trump says it's just ridiculous to have a third party.
We have a tremendous success with the Republican Party. The Democrats have lost their way, but it's always been a two-party system. And I think starting a third party just adds to confusion. It really seems to have been developed for two parties. Third parties have never worked.
The world's richest man and Trump's former buddy on Saturday announced he was forming the America Party, a fallout from his rift with the president over his One Big Beautiful Bill. Musk has repeatedly warned Trump's tax and spending bill would bankrupt the U.S. Thousands gather in Dharamshala in India for the 90th birthday of Tibet's exiled spiritual leader, the Dalai Lama. The ceremony caps a week of celebrations where he spoke about his hope to live beyond 130 and reincarnate after dying. Monsoon rains did not dampen the spirits of followers who came to see him. The Nobel laureate is regarded as one of the world's most influential religious leaders with a following that extends well beyond Buddhism. But China considers him a separatist. Shifting now to sports, the TNT Tropang 5G is off to the biggest stage, the PBA Philippine Cup Finals. The Grand Slam-seeking team disposed of the rain or shine Elasto Painters in Game 6 Sunday at the Smart Araneta Coliseum, 97-89. Best player of the game, Jordan Heading, led the Tropang 5G with 29 points, 3 rebounds, and 4 assists. TNT wins the semi-series 4-2. They await the winner of the other semi-series between Barangay Ginebra San Miguel and the San Miguel Beermen. Ginebra extended their series with a heart-stopping victory over SMB, 88-87. LA Tenorio showcased his brilliance by knocking down a game-winning 3. Game 7 is on Wednesday, July 9. In the NBA, Kevin Durant is headed to Houston from Phoenix. And it didn't take just 1 or 2 teams. It took 7 teams to get him to his next destination. Reports say the teams that took part in the historic deal include the Brooklyn Nets, the Golden State Warriors, the Atlanta Hawks, the Los Angeles Lakers, and the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Rockets have welcomed Durant on their social media pages. Aside from KD, Houston is also adding veteran Clint Capella, who is returning to H-Town after 5 seasons in Atlanta. And in entertainment, I hope you're okay, MCR fans, because your favorite band is coming to the Philippines. My Chemical Romance will hold a concert at the Philippine Arena on April 25 next year as part of a Southeast Asian tour. This marks the iconic band's return to Asia in over a decade and comes after their reunion in 2019. My Chemical Romance is known for numerous hits, including Welcome to the Black Parade, Teenagers, and Helena. And before we go, here's a supersized cooking challenge with Filipino flair. Director James Gunn and Superman castmates David Corenswet and Rachel Brosnahan traded capes for aprons as they go head-to-head in a lumpia showdown led by our lumpia queen, Abby Marquez. From separating lumpia wrappers to rolling the savory treats, all three struggled to complete the task, which they had to finish in just 2 minutes.
Timer starts now. You got 2 minutes in the clock.
I can't find the crack. This is a nightmare. I think lumpia making is not in my future. Oh, look, Rachel.
Look at that precision.
See, slow and steady. If you look at what Rachel is doing, she's making one lumpia at a time.
Versus like David, he's peeling off lumpia wrappers. He's got like 3, 4 now.
Okay, I lost it. All right, hold on. Then we do this. We circle. It's nice and tight. This is really some tight lumpia.
Could this be a no talking game?
I remember, and then you go here.
James!
And then what?
Talk less, lumpia more.
How does she have 3?
How are we, David? That's very generous also. The less filling, the easier it is to wrap, by the way.
Shh, stop helping them.
I'm getting my ass kicked.
Things got tense. 10 seconds to deadline when James and David got into a match over a roll.
10, 9, 8, 7.
No, stop! Hang on, this is gonna be great!
4, 3, 2, 1. Hands up, guys! Hands up!
In the end, Rachel won the challenge while the two guys could only look on and smile. The three were in the Philippines last month for the first stop of their global promotional tour for the new Superman film. And those are the news this hour. I'm Mai Rodriguez. Stay with the Bilanada News Channel. Good afternoon.